Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Power Shift Seasonal Event, which is an alternate game mode in which every unit in our starting deck gets its power set to its provision cost, which means low power, high provision cost cards are much stronger than usual, which also means this deck is far stronger than usual. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Syndicate Blood Money Bounty deck because in this event there are a lot of high base power cards, and the base power of the units is what determines how many coins we get back when we destroy something that has a bounty on it. So we'll have a bunch of cards that both put bounty on our opponent's units and also can destroy those cards. So we'll use things like Caleb, who is one of the most consistent bounty setting cards in the game, because every turn we can put a bounty on one of our opponent's cards, and a bunch of other stuff that is more of a one-time bounty. Slander, Hysteria, Witch Hunter, and Fabian Hale, and Scapegoat, all of which either can create bounties or automatically put a bounty on themselves. Then we use cards like the Witch Hunter Executioner or Freak Show to spend coins to destroy those cards that have the bounties on them and get a bunch of coins in return, because the amount of coins we get is based on the amount of base power they have, and there are a ton of really high base power cards in this event. We can also use Vigilantes to get a little bit of a head start on that damage, and in the case of Moreelse and Graden, we can destroy those units regardless of how much power they have as well, and in the case of Graden, if we spend a few extra coins, we can also get boosted based on their base power, which is going to be a lot in this event. And for the really big targets, we can use Geralt Professional, Base Geralt, and Geralt Igni to destroy them without even needing to spend coins. Then at the end of round 3, we finish with Triss Meteor Shower, either in the melee row to deal damage to our opponents or in the range row to boost our units. And that's pretty much all there is to it. In theory, it's relatively simple, but in practice, it can be difficult to execute because we're going to be constantly fluctuating between having little to no coins, and then once we trigger the bounty, back up to maximum coins. So it is going to be an emotional roller coaster ride, but if you're up for it, then it can be very powerful. So let's go see it in action. All right, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Alright, so we do have Caleb, who is, of course, our best bounty setter, but ideally I'd like to save him for round 3 if we can, which means we need to find a way to still set up some stuff in round 1, even without him. So, Scapegoat can give us some coins to set up some of the cards that can, well, destroy things that have bounties on them, and puts a bounty on itself, so that is useful. And if we can combine that with, well, I'd like to see a Witch Hunter Executioner rather than a just normal Witch Hunter. Tax Collector's not bad. I suppose this can destroy Scapegoat, but yeah, still looking for the damage though. Which is, I mean, I guess Freak Show. Yeah. Freak Show here, and then we're just gonna need to find Geralt or something else in round 3 to combine with Caleb to actually destroy the stuff that Caleb puts bounties on. So I think we can still make this work. Why don't we start with Tax Collector, just so, you know, we get more coinage out of that. Might not be all that necessary if we're going to end up going Scapegoat anyway, but maybe this is our... Oh. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, no, Scapegoat's going to be really relevant because we're about to spend all of our coins to remove the Urchin of Erlenwald. Yeah, so this gets us up to 8, which is just enough to destroy you. Okay. So I think that needs to be done. If they lock their leader ability on Freak Show, then we are probably in pretty big trouble. So that's, I think, the biggest risk here, but we're gonna go for it. Eternal Eclipse. Okay, yeah, didn't see that one coming. You got me there. You did get me there. Okay, so what we could do is we could, see if we go Scapegoat, we'll be at 7 coins, that's enough to destroy Scapegoat, and in doing so, get a little more coins, and we could still destroy the Eternal Eclipse Initiate. Is that the best course of action here? Technically speaking, getting Vigilantes on the board would be nice, so that we get a little more efficiency out of every bounty, otherwise, generally speaking, you're trading 1 coin for 1 damage, whereas this just gives you that little head start. I think we're still doing this, though. I think you do this. That means we certainly have enough to do that, and we still have a little bit of coinage to spare as well, especially as the Tax Collector keeps on doing its thing. And yeah, this is what we feared. It was going to happen at some point. As I was saying, it was pretty crucial that we built around Freak Show in that round. So that is something we need to reevaluate here. How willing are we to proceed now that we no longer have Freak Show. It's pretty useless to them. It was almost entirely for the lock. And I'm not really sure how much more lock they're going to have, because that's actually a bit of an anti-synergy with the Eternal Eclipse, because they want to have infusions on us, and lock will stop any infusions they do. So I don't think you're really a threat. You will get boosted a lot if it sticks around and if they go all the way through on this. I think we might want to pass early here, because that pressures them to keep on playing cards to trigger this scenario, which they really want to at least trigger. I guess Chapter 1's really all they absolutely need to do. But then it does have carryover. That is one thing that is particularly notable out of Eternal Eclipse. This is going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but I think we're still passing here. As I said, we really needed Freak Show to carry us, and as soon as he got locked, we were going to be in trouble. Alright, they do, of course, have something they can infuse on the Tax Collector. I guess, technically, if they were to create a Tax Collector on their side, then they would be able to do something with the Freak Show, but okay, that's all they need to pass us, but you would have thought they'd play a Gold Cultist instead to trigger the next chapter of the scenario. Now they're in a tricky spot, because they probably just thought, okay, I'm going to play something small and just barely overtake my opponent and not commit anything big. On the other hand, that risks completely bricking this scenario. So they do need to play Profit. The lock does not carry over in between rounds. That's not a big deal. But because they had to play 2 cards to catch us, that means they are much less likely to bleed us in round 2. If they do, it's going to be less effective. Why are they using Glynis, though? She's another Gold Cultist because she got the infusion. Okay. So they are triggering every chapter of the scenario and adding more cultists into their deck with the Deacons as well. But they do play extra cards to make it happen. Alright, so as I was saying, they did go 3 cards down, which would seem like a lot. They could still dry pass in this round, and it means we just have a few throwaways. It's unlikely they'll push here. However, they actually have a lot of tempo and created a bunch of carryover with all the infusions they got from that round 1 scenario. So we are definitely not out of the woods yet. And if they do dry pass, I would like to have something we can just throw down here. I think Slander's our weakest card. We should have good bounty support with Caleb. If we had the Executioner, that's what I really wanted in round 1, because then we would have had a way to continue to go further, even if Freak Show got locked, and obviously he did. Alright, so I think all we need to do is have 1 throwaway, right? You are very valuable, because now that we've played Freak Show, you're going to be our best spender. We can still use the Geralts, potentially, to destroy some of the bounty cards, yes, and also Graden, but that's just one big tall removal there, whereas you give us more flexibility to potentially destroy multiple cards in one turn, which the Geralts and Graden can't really do, so it's definitely not you. It's probably going to be Witch Hunter, especially since we do have Caleb. So in theory, we should have a sustained source of bounty generation. That's probably, I mean, if we had coin generation, like if we had another Tax Collector, that'd be a great option here, but I don't really think that makes sense, so we're just going to leave it at that 1 card there. The biggest problem here is they're going to have boosts. Alright, and we draw into the Scapegoat, which can be a good way to get us started off quickly with enough coins to get that first bounty card taken out, because that's usually the biggest barrier. Once you've done that, then you have the coins to use things like the Executioner, and then the world is your oyster. You can put the bounties on with Caleb and what have you. Also would like to get Vigilantes down early, so that might even be our first turn play. We might stick with this. What are we missing here? Geralt's Triss Meteor Shower, Moreelse. Can we do better? We might not need the bounty, but that does give us more coins as well. Hysteria, another Executioner. I mean, if they have more lock, it's useful. If they don't, then it's fine. I don't think they're going to have much lock, so we might not have needed that, but then again, it has a little bit of profit at the very least. So I think because I always struggle to find the time to play Vigilantes if it is not turn 1, I think that is probably still what we go for here. The issue, as I was starting to say, is they're going to have a lot of boosts, because that's what's going to happen with all the infusions on their cultists, and that is what we hate, because for the most part, we are getting 1 damage per coin, and then once we trigger the bounty, we get basically a full refund on all of those coins, assuming that we're just hitting units that have their base power. Ooh, it's a double scenario. Okay, well, I'm glad that we didn't play a crucially important card just yet, and this is probably a good opportunity for us to not play anything else on our side of the board just yet by going with Scapegoat. Might even consider leader building on this Thirsty Dame. That is kind of tempting. We'll Scapegoat initially, and we'll get the extra damage coming from you as well. So that's nice. Leader ability definitely destroys. It is a little bit overkill. It's still worth doing. This Thirsty Dame is going to start getting pretty huge if we leave it alone. And that would suggest, with the Masquerade Ball, they might have more statuses. I was skeptical if they were going to have additional lock, but it's possible. It does get bowed out as well, which is nice. But yeah, the problem with the boosting is that if their units have more than their base power, then that means that we are going to have to spend more coins to destroy them than we will receive by triggering the bounty. Armor is very similar in that way. I'm surprised that they have that, though. I'm not sure why that doesn't really fit in with the archetype they've been working with. Fortunately, the most recent card that we played, most recent unit we played was Scapegoat, so that has at least temporarily bricked this light cavalry. So we have enough coins here. I think what we can do is we can get down the Executioner, but we don't have a bounty on you yet, which is not ideal. What is Matta giving us, out of curiosity? Triss? Okay. We can destroy you and then get enough coins to bleed you, but with no bounty, it's just bleed and only that. Is why I'm hesitating. I think we still have to do it, though. We're gonna have to get you out here eventually. We'll at least do one, because you will still take the bleed damage there, but obviously they can only take one round of bleed damage per turn. If you get destroyed, we obviously have a backup plan, and given how they have more statuses than we were expecting them to have, that may be relevant. Next turn, we want to ideally get Caleb down, because we want bounties on all of these people. We want bounties on you. They're gonna, I assume, go... Okay, I mean, yes, I know that the Flying Redanian is the biggest card here, but I would have to imagine at some point we'll still be able to get the coins to get this summoned back out. So that's probably fine. We want to get rid of this Thirsty Dame before she gets boosted out of control and is totally out of removal range and too high for us to consider even putting a bounty on her. Because I think what we do here is... I mean, this is going to overprofit a little bit as well. But I think we have to accept that. Put the bounty on you. Which means we have the extra 2 damage from Vigilantes. That's actually really helpful. Now we can destroy you. Get the extra coinage from triggering the bounty. Again, we'll put 1 turn of bleed on you. You're not a threat anymore. You're just a deployability, not much else. So we want to... Since we have a cooldown on Caleb, we can't immediately put the bounty and destroy you, unfortunately. There's the lock. Oh, on Caleb. Oh, that stinks. That really stinks. Okay. We do have more bounty sources a little bit, right? With Fabian. And what is the highest priority to put a bounty on? Not really anything super high priority. I really wish they'd put the lock on Witch Hunter Executioner because we were prepared for that to get locked. Less so for Caleb. He is harder to replace. We're saying Matta is into Triss. Doesn't really help us from a bounty standpoint, though. Definitely need to make sure we have something for Graden to go after. So I think we're going to have to be patient with Fabian. This might just be a turn in which we bide our time and go with Matta. And I do want to spend these coins to get bleed on you. On the other hand, I do want to be mindful of how we really want to get back up to 9 coins at some point to get the Flying Redanian back. And now that we no longer have a sustainable source of bounty, that is going to be much harder to do. Anna Henrietta is a cultist, which means she will potentially get boosted a lot. She is on 9 power, which is a multiple 3, so we could destroy her with Geralt Professional. On one hand, she's not that big yet, and presumably they're going to get bigger things later on. On the other hand, any cultist will become much bigger as time goes on, because they did all the infusions. Actually, she doesn't have the infusion from their scenario in round 1. Must have been after they triggered the scenario that they did the infusion here. Okay, so she's actually not a threat in that case. Good thing we took the time to clarify that. Then she is a 9 base power card, which is not terrible for bounties, because of course, that's all we need to maximize our coin generation. So we might pull the trigger here with Fabian. I think we will. We're on 7. Which means next turn we could go Executioner, and unless you get boosted, that should be enough damage to take you out. Or, well, I mean, we need to go great. Oh, right. Obviously, they still are leader ability. It's like, where did... That's the sound of our leader ability. Why are they using that? Yeah, we should be using Graden, because this is likely to be the last bounty that we see. And from there on out, it's just going to be bleed with the Executioners. Okay, now that's a threat. That will be an engine, and a very powerful engine. And the longer we wait, the more difficult it would be to destroy, unless we can get a little bit lucky and time the Geralt Professional and or the Igni guess we have some flexibility there, and the bleed from the Executioners. I wish it was unit that had a bounty. That way we'd have much better control over setting these up, but I think we're still looking at Graden here, and we can use the Tribute on you, because then we get the big boost, and it might, now that they've used Masquerade Ball, I mean, they don't have any control remaining to take him out, and since you're a 9 base power card, we'll still get up to maximum coinage once we do that, which means we should get Boat out, as long as we don't spend with you at all on this turn. So there's Boat. We would still like to get rid of you. Now the Boat is out. I assume they're not going to be able to take this out anymore, and we're just going to rely on the Geralts to take you out, basically. So I don't know if that's going to be enough. Thirsty Dame turned into a Cultist, so does power up the Deacon, but notably does not have the more beneficial infusion here. So this will get huge. We know that. But I think we're looking at, I mean, we would at this point, if we can, like to row stack to at least give us the option of using Triss and the range row on ourselves, but unfortunately, we had to play Matta here. Flying Redanian happened to come out here. We had to play Caleb there. Had to play Graden here, so we were kind of split between our rows. So right now they have exactly the same base power collectively. So take your pick. It's which row we want to build around. Gives us a little more coinage. I also didn't notice we probably already had maximum coinage, so we might have missed out on the 2 profit there. Didn't we have 9 at the end of our previous turn? Pretty sure. That's a card we don't like to see, and you do have the beneficial infusion. So if we are really careful and also lucky, we can potentially line up these guys to end up on the same number and Igni them both on the same turn, which would be amazing. Which you're going to get boosted by, assume they play 1 Cultist on their next turn. You get boosted up to 9, you also get boosted up to 9, so that means we use Igni. It might not be big enough in the melee row for that to happen, but I think that's what we have to go for. It means we're not playing Igni this turn. Geralt Professional could only destroy you, which is not great, and it's functionally the same as just going for his basic damage, or we're using Triss. I think we are using Triss, which I don't love, because ideally you'd play her at the very end. But I'm deliberately optimizing for Igni and Geralt Professional instead, which could come back to bite us. We are going to see. They have a lot of statuses already on. Oh, obviously, they're going to go after Graden. That makes sense. That's another reason why we really want to take out Philippe on this next turn. I mean, he's probably going to be a 9, assuming they play a Cultist here at the very least. No, it's not a Cultist! Uh-oh. Okay, well, we didn't want to see that. So, yes, this is our last coin spender, so we should absolutely spread around the bleed on this turn. I deliberately didn't do it on the previous turn because I thought we had lined this up, but they did not play Cultist when I really thought they were going to do that. So, gonna give us a status for sure with Philippe. Means they're gonna put lock on Graden. Okay, so Graden might still have enough time to save Graden before Philippe takes him out. You're gonna get up to an 8 when they use Philippe, which means we aren't gonna be able to line you up for Geralt Professional. I mean, we have to Geralt Professional this turn, don't we? No matter what. We pretty much have to. So I think we're just doing this. We're just hitting somebody with the 3 damage. And we are waiting for this to be a Cultist and then Igniing in the melee row. Assuming that that is high enough up there to make it happen. I'm surprised they didn't go after Graden. That's a little suspicious. Where are your Cultists? Oh, my goodness. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure, looking at the point totals here, we would win if they had played a single Cultist on either of their previous turns, but they haven't done that. But they're going to forfeit. Okay, I guess they don't think they can catch us, so we will still take the win even without that combo we were looking for. Alright, so going up against monsters here. And we'll go first. Alright, so let's see. We have a spender with Freak Show and a potential backup plan in case Freak Show gets locked or answered, and he is row locked, and they have some movement with their leader ability. So actually, Freak Show, it's going to be pretty difficult to make him work. We can make Executioner work, but it does require that our opponents have bounties on their cards, and we don't have a lot. I mean, we have some bounty generation, just not the most reliable and consistent sources of it. Like, can we get a more... I mean, Caleb is basically what I'm referring to. Can we have something like that? I mean, we could with Triss Buterflies. Okay, you know what? This can work. This can work. I'm conflicted about Freak Show. Ideally, we would last long enough to bait out both leader ability charges early, and then suddenly Freak Show becomes much more viable. Otherwise, he's just immediately going to get answered. I mean, I guess there's some chances we could play him on one turn and to just try to immediately benefit from all of his spending right off the bat. Tell you what, here's one way we might be able to bait out a leader ability charge. It'd be nice to get more coin generation from Tax Collector, but I would prefer Freak Show. Oh, I was really hoping that was the animation for them moving Tax Collector, but okay. There are some other Wild Hunt cards that also have movement units, that is. So even if we bait all those out, we may not necessarily be safe. So if they have Dominance, which they do at the moment, then Thrall will give them a fair bit of damage. He is an engine, so we'd like to answer him early. What's the best way to do so? Vigilantes is another card we'd like to get down early, and if we are going to set up bounties, then that does pay some long-term dividends, but it's slow is the problem. I think we... Scapegoat's overkill for coins, at least at the moment. I mean, Freak Show does technically have the damage to take him out. Sure. Sure. We're at least guaranteed to get one card removed. So Freak Show played for 16 more if you consider that Nithral was going to also damage our cards because it was an engine. Didn't have time to set up a bounty on it, but you know, given how Freak Show would otherwise get answered pretty much immediately, I think we can settle for that. Nagelfair's Crew. Okay, leader ability? No leader ability. Wow. With 2 cards that are row-locked on the board, I am very surprised. Okay. Well, in that case, we could Scapegoat now. We would have the coins and a way to immediately destroy it to trigger the bounty. And then at that point, I think we have enough coins left to still take out Nagelfair's Crew. And given how Freak Show is already on borrowed time, I think we do go that route because this is an opportunity that I did not think we were going to have. Take you out. We're 1 coin shy. Leader ability. I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Just gonna do it. Just gonna go for that. And, I mean, now we have enough coins with Tax Collector. That's the card I was referring to. Now it happens. And maybe that's why they had not yet used leader ability, because they had known that at some point or another, the Bruiser was going to come out and punish us by moving Freak Show. But as I said, I think that was already pretty great value on Freak Show, more than I expected to get. It looked for a while there like he was just going to be a completely dead card. So close to taking out the second unit, I wish. So where do we go from here? I mean, Executioner, yes, is more flexible because it is not row locked. I think we might just go Triss, though. I think we might go Triss, and with her, I want bounty, yes. I also want a more reliable spender. It's a question of Caleb, or is it another Executioner? Yes, we'll go Caleb. Caleb, we definitely don't want to play in this round. Executioner would have been more so for this round, and then we could have felt more comfortable playing this one here. Get the boost, which would have potentially opened up some tall removal options, because it is now over 9 points. But we don't have any Geralts in our hand right now. Only way we could remove it would be if we did put a bounty on it, and then we followed up with Graden, which is very much not something I want to be committing in this round. So, we're tied at 16 apiece. The longer this round goes, the more coins we generate. This round ends quickly. They're not going to get any value from the order ability. There is something to be said for passing here. I think I might. Okay, so they go Wild Hunt Hound. I mean, anything will do in this case. So they just use the throwaway. But the bigger deal is that they are pretty much bricking that ability there. Okay, so they won round 1. They did use an extra card to do that, but they theoretically have round control here. They have 1 card to burn. We have 2 cards to burn. We draw to 2 Geralts. That's definitely helpful to give us more removal options in addition to Graden, We have Scapegoat, which when combined with the Executioner does give us nice setup there. Now that we have Caleb, I mean, if Caleb gets answered, especially now that he's over 9 points, it is definitely answerable with a Geralt. Then Executioner may or may not be. We obviously don't want you. Matta gives us something. Hey. Okay, well, I mean, that's why I did it. I tried to force them into getting a bad ability on Tirnalia, and that meant that it was far less likely that they would push in round 2, and so we did succeed there. Now that means we're looking for a throwaway here, though, and that's actually a little bit harder to do than it would seem. I just want to double check what Matta's going to give us here. It looks like it is Geralt, Space Geralt. That should be fine. I think it has to be Vigilantes here. And I know it's a 4 provision cost unit, so it doesn't seem like it's much, but it is a really useful bounty facilitator. And our other 4 provision cost card gets played on their side of the board, so that wouldn't have worked. Although, would we have gotten maxed out coinage? No, it would have been 1 coin shy. Unless we went this and leader ability, and then we could have gotten the boat out. But no, I think this was still ultimately the right answer. Alright, well, suddenly we draw into Geralt. Let's double check what that means for Matta. Assuming we get boat out, it would mean Moreelse. But if we don't make that happen quickly, then it could be boat, and that would be a big Matta brick, so we definitely don't want to see that happen. Hysteria, bounty, and potentially damage on a card that already has bounty, so that's actually some pretty nice flexibility there. Do we end up playing our other Executioner? No, that's still in our deck. Okay, I think we might get a little bit greedy here. Not really sure we need the coins from Tax Collector, to be honest. Okay, I do like that, though. I do like that, though. In case one of the Executioners gets answered, that gives us just so much more flexibility. Yes, if we get 2 and they don't answer the first one, then it is overkill. We get a little bit of extra profit, but okay. I think that's a risk that a relatively small sacrifice that I'm willing to make here. So we want to get up to maximum coinage as quickly as possible because we want to thin out the Redanian before we play Matta, because I'm seeing a world in which I accidentally draw into the Flying Redanian for sure. So I think that means we might start with Scapegoat. It also gives us a nice big source of coins right at the beginning of the round. Yes, we do want to save those coins, ideally, but if we do find a target we really want to take out, then we should be able to do that relatively efficiently. Imlerith, he's going to get big. So normally we don't like boosts when we're using a bounty deck because, for the most part, we are trading 1 coin for 1 damage, and then when we trigger the bounty, we're getting all those coins refunded unless they have a boost, in which case we're spending more coins than we're getting back when we take out that unit. So fortunately not a huge boost on Imlerith, and that is one of the benefits of having things like the Geralts, which don't need to be spending coins to get that removal. So we're not quite at bounty yet. Or not quite at 9 coins yet, rather, to get out our Redanian. But if we play an Executioner now, we can do this. And yes, if we destroy the Scapegoat now, we're over-generating coins, but I think we're going to need to move that bounty to someone else on a later occasion anyway. So I think we just do it here. And that means we should still get the boat out now. And so now Matta is safe, so we don't need to worry about the timing on her. Winter Queen played from hand. Oh, they did not want to do that. Okay, and fortunately, you are not row-locked. Once upon a time, I think it was, right? But that's in part why I wanted to give us a backup plan with the second Executioner. So I think we now are looking to get Caleb out here probably right now. That way we can benefit from doing this damage as quickly as possible. You are probably going to die from the Frost in that case, because Caleb does need to go melee row. We get 3 profit, and that'd be overkill in this case. So I think we might as well get a... Oh, I mean, technically you don't have the bounty yet, so be it. So now we do this. And we do this. And now we technically don't quite have enough coins to remove you yet. But, and actually, he's, ooh, God, he's row locked and they still have a leader ability charge. Oops. That's not good. They are definitely about to use that. Yeah, I forgot that they still have a leader ability charge. Okay, that's not good news. Alrighty then. Fortunately, we do have a bounty on a valuable unit to take out. So that should help us, and from here on out, we do want a bounty on Graden. What are we getting from Matta, did we say? Moreelse? Graden is really the one card that we have left who needs there to be a unit that has bounty on it, and to a lesser extent, this Executioner as well. Alright, I think we probably means we're gonna have to accept that Graden is a bit of a dead card in that case. We also should be planning for where we want to Triss. I think we go here. We just take you out, trigger the bounty, we're maximum coinage, which at this stage is basically just relevant for when we use Matta, get Moreelse, and use Moreelse to destroy whatever their highest unit is. Because we will definitely have the coins to do that. We even have leader ability as well. So, I think it's... I mean, you're going to get bigger over time, of course. At the moment, you're not the biggest unit, but might be worth getting rid of you with a Geralt. Let's see, they're at 20 and 22. Nothing at the moment. Well, actually, this is really predictable with how much it's going to get boosted. So this might be a good way to line them both up for Igni, assuming they don't play something bigger in that room, in which case, fine, that works too. So I think we might just take this turn to go Matta, because we don't have anything that is absolutely urgent, assuming they are not about to use that order ability. There's Moreelse, as we were saying. We do have some flexibility with leader ability. You are an engine that is going to get boosted as time goes on. I think we might just destroy Oberon, though, because he was going to give more value to any subsequent Wild Hunt card that they play, and they do seem to be a dedicated Wild Hunt deck. Pretty sure they have Devotion. Oh, well, right, that was a fully evolved one, wasn't it? That's our yeah, that's our confirmation. Okay. So, Aridin, they have Dominance, right? Okay, so he's dealing damage to us, and a lot of damage, because he's powering up their Frost. So, that is a card we'd like to destroy. One more turn before we can go Igni here. So we're reserving you for the double melee row removal. You are unfortunately not on a multiple of 3, which means Geralt Professional doesn't work on you. So we're looking at base Geralt. But, as I was saying before, we want to try to line up our cards for a bigger Triss Meteor Shower, and at this point, I'm feeling like it's going to be a range row boost ourself kind of thing, and our range row is looking bigger than our melee row right now. So I think that means we play Geralt here, and we remove Aridin, because he had some long-term value coming from the extra frost damage he was giving them. Oh, we also have Moreelse, which could have also been a solution, I suppose. Alright, this turn, because they're lined up at 11... but they need to play something in the melee row so that it's big enough for Igni. Darn it. I was really hoping that was going to happen, but alas, it did not. Okay, I mean, of course, we can just settle, and eventually this row will get big enough, just from the boost on the Apiarian Phantom, that we will end up removing the Apiarian Phantom with Igni, or we can Geralt Professional on Phantom on the next turn. So, basically, what I'm getting at is I think that means that this is either our throwaway this is probably our throwaway Graden turn. Otherwise, it was going to mean Moreelse on this row. Not their biggest unit, not their second biggest unit, but we can't harm this row. Otherwise, we risk bricking the Igni. We can't really do right now. And this just means, although Graden normally would need to be melee row, since there's nothing with a bounty, that doesn't really help us. And I'm deliberately playing him range row, because that is where I'm expecting we will use Triss Meteor Shower. Granted, Geralt Professional does need to go melee row, but if we play everything else range row, I think it's still going to end up being bigger than this. Also, we'd like to row stack, because they have the frost damage, which if we keep on playing cards in both rows, they're going to be able to double down on that. Granted, at this point, we have enough stuff in the melee row that's probably still going to be a factor if they want it to be. And we're about to see where they do additional... Okay, well, does that require that we redo the calculus at all? I mean, these are still relatively small units. You're now above 25, so worst comes to worst, we could Igni, range row, and remove a 10. Because I'm eyeing this 12, and I'm not really sure we're going to get another good opportunity to hit someone who's a multiple of 3. So this might have to be Geralt Professional here. We risk complicating things for Igni, but as I said, worst comes to worst, we get rid of a 10. So I think we do that. And it means, as I was saying, this does need to be melee row. So it gives us a little more time to make up our mind for these other cards that are not row locked to figure out which row we'd prefer to be in here. Okay, they've got to have Karen Thier, right? I imagine is one of their big finishers. Do we have... No, they have Last Say. Ooh, okay, well, that's their final play. I think we can say that pretty safely. 5, 10, 19, 30, 9, 19. Yeah, this is still bigger, right? So, I mean, you are still the biggest card. I think we go Moreelse, and then we're just Igniing whatever ends up in their range row. It might end up being the 10. If it is, we'll settle for that. So you can still spend the coins and do that. I mean, technically, we still have some coins we can use with the Executioners, which now that is the only use we have for them. Now, if they are to destroy the Flying Redanian, we actually don't have a way to get it back anymore, but we kind of accepted that. All right, the Bruiser is complicating things. When it comes to optimizing for Triss, they are not making this easy. They really want us to be playing all of our big stuff in the melee row. So at this point, oh, well, I love the looks of that. It's exactly 25, and they're both lined up at 10. You don't say. You don't say. And, you know, for good measure. And they pass. They know that after that, there is no bouncing back. We waited, and we did, fortunately, find the right time for the Igni. So it all worked out in the end. So there's a look at the Syndicate bounty deck for the new Power Shift seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. And I'll link a playlist to show you other decks we've used in this event as well. And stay tuned this Friday as we open 1,000 of the new kegs to finish off the year. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.